brewing. Now, today, that location is the Indian Ocean. So we expect that the ships that we procure and put the Marine Corps equipment in will be sent first to the Indian Ocean and perhaps pre-positioned somewhere near Diego Garcia.
Sir, what will be the role of the Harrier in any future shipboard operations and with the Rapid Deployment Force?
The Harrier is obviously an essential element of our division wing team today, and gives the division wing team a capability and a dimension that they wouldn't have without that Harrier. And I would foresee that dependence upon the Harrier and its fast reaction capability continuing for as long as you and I are in the military. That it'll probably be a contender not only for support of Marine forces in the field, but also for employment on board ship in the sea-based tactical air mode. But in the absence of that, of the AV-8B, which I think is roughly equivalent in capability once you get off the ground to an A7, in the absence of that capability, I don't see the Navy participating very extensively, if at all, in the Harrier program. So it would remain just a Marine program. If we can get the price of the AV-8B down to the point where it's only twice as expensive as an A7, that would be even more of a stimulus for the Navy to look to something smaller than large deck carriers for our future sea-based tactical air capability.
I work out of gunfire control, and I'm extremely concerned about keeping my gear up at all times. But it seems like if I have a piece of gear that I know is going bad, I have to wait for that piece of gear to go bad, and then in order to get that part, I have to cash rep it. So what I want to know was if the supply system in the Navy was going to improve in the near future.
We do, for whatever consolation it might be, we do recognize your problems. And because of that, we also are very careful not to grade a ship's performance on the number of CAS reps. We don't say, this ship has 1 C4 and 5 C3s, and therefore it's a lousy ship. That mentality doesn't exist at the higher levels in the Navy. In fact, we're quite pleased when ships are very honest and forthcoming about submitting CAS reps. It helps us to serve the ships better. I would expect that you'll see somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20% improvement in your ability to keep your battery going.
Admiral, with the increasing activity in the Persian Gulf, how many and what types of ships can we expect to see deployed from the Atlantic Fleet?
We're deploying ships from the Atlantic there now. We have one nuclear carrier battle group that's in the Indian Ocean, and I would expect that for the foreseeable future, you will continue to see one Atlantic Fleet-based carrier battle group in the Indian Ocean all the time. Now, that carrier battle group is not at the expense of non-deployed ships. That carrier battle group, the Nimitz and the nuclear cruisers that go with it, came out of the Mediterranean. And I think that's what we're going to continue to do. We'll keep one carrier battle group instead of two in the Mediterranean, and that second carrier battle group that would normally be deployed to the Mediterranean will be in the Indian Ocean. Similarly, amphibious ships, which I'm sure is the basis for your question, amphibious ships have also been sent to the Indian Ocean. The first task group or task force arrived from the Pacific yesterday into the Indian Ocean, and it would appear as though we'll have one amphibious task force in the Indian Ocean at all times from now on. We will alternate between the Atlantic and the Pacific. We think that the Atlantic amphibious task force will be taken from the Mediterranean and will not affect the non-deployed ships. Now, the way that you will be affected in the Atlantic is that the deployments to the Indian Ocean will be longer. They will not be the 5-month deployments that I have tried to achieve for the Atlantic Fleet-based ships. It's a 24,000-mile round trip to and from the Indian Ocean, and to invest in that degree of transit requires that we leave those ships there for a while. Otherwise, it would be rather irresponsible waste of fuel to send a ship 24,000 miles for only a few months' worth of deployed time.
Sir, what is being done to improve the retention rate in the services?
We are doing everything we can and everything we can identify and everything within our capability to increase the retention rate. It is a very, very serious problem in the Navy. I'm not familiar with the details of the problem it might be presenting to the Marine Corps, but I understand there is some problem. In the Navy, the form this takes is the loss of experienced people that we simply can't replace by higher recruiting rates. So we're doing things like attempting to restore the loss in purchasing power that the people in the military have suffered over the past 7 or 8 years. We are, as a result of inflation, unexpectedly high inflation, we've lost 17%. The people in the military have lost 17% of their purchasing power since 1972. We're trying to make our deployments more acceptable to the people in the military by making them shorter if possible. That may not be possible with the Indian Ocean commands. We're trying to cut back on the numbers of inspections and other forms of activity that cause work for the sailor and the Marine that may not have a sufficient payoff to justify that additional work. And we're trying to find better support for the people in uniform in the form of additional BEQs and recreational facilities ashore. At the present time, these recreational facilities on military bases are just jammed because the young people in uniform can't afford to go ashore. Things are costing so much out on the beach that they just stay on the base. So we're trying to adjust to that, make things better, make life better on the base. This is the type of thing we're doing, and we're also looking for other ways where every time there is a perceived problem, we look at the problem to see if it can be corrected, and if so, we'll correct it. Some things we can do nothing about, and those things we just ensure that those who can do something about them are aware of them and have the opportunity to make the decision to fix it or not fix it, as the case might be. Anyway, it's a thing that keeps us occupied 24 hours a day. Yes, sir.
So I was wondering why we have women aboard a warship, and would they stay aboard during a wartime situation?
There is a law that prevents women from being assigned to combatant ships and to combat. Therefore, the assignment of women today is to organizations that we do not expect to be directly involved in combat. Now, a mobile logistics support force ship is not a combatant ship, but it travels with combatant ships, so therefore we cannot put women on a mobile logistics support force ship, an oiler, for example, or a fast combat support ship. But we can put them on tenders and other ships that we do not expect will be directly involved in combat, and that's what we're doing today. We have them on the repair ship, the Vulcan. In fact, I think most of you know the Vulcan returned from a 6-month Mediterranean deployment, during which time it had 60 women on board.